So WWE could be bringing back Uncle Howdy onto TV. We have seen over the last couple of weeks, there have been hints, teases, Uncle Howdy apparently infiltrating the X account online, cryptic vignettes happening where you could decipher the code, saying things like you forgot about us. It all seems to be pointing towards an Uncle Howdy return. Will it be Bo Dallas? Most likely. They had a teaser within the Bray Wyatt documentary they released. And if it is something that WWE wants to do, that the Rotunda family are interested in doing, and that they can make the creative work inspired by Bray Wyatt, make it fun, entertaining, and different, then I think fans are going to be pretty happy with it. Question mark is, who do you include? What do you do? For me, I think if you do bring Uncle Howdy back, you gotta put a little twist on him. We didn't see much of Uncle Howdy, to be honest. We saw him a little bit with the match between Bray Wyatt and LA Knight. We saw him do a big elbow drop and the pyro went off. And that was kind of the end of Uncle Howdy. So they never really got to explore the character with any real depth. So I wonder that with this, if they do bring back Uncle Howdy, and it is the character from before with Bray, do they bring him back in the same incarnation? Because it was so early on in its development, they kind of have, in my opinion, creative freedom to kind of play with it, to go in any direction they want with the character and what he's all about. Now, do you have someone like Bo Dallas who would portray Uncle Howdy? Do you have him actually wrestle? Do you do that with the character? I kind of worry if you do, it becomes a little too campy and silly if he's wearing the full mask, and if they make him super powerful, for example. Bo Dallas, compared to other wrestlers, he's not this giant intimidating guy. I think you need Uncle Howdy as a character to be much more of the manager role and the puppet master to all of this. That he is in control of it all. It is his, Wyatt family or Wyatt 6 that they do, if they do that, and that he is kind of in the background of all times. He's the one doing the vignettes and the cryptic messaging, maybe who they plan to attack next and all those things, and that he is running everything, but doesn't necessarily get physically involved. That could also be a good way also to lead up to when a face, for example, wants to finally take down, we're really booking this thing really in far advance, aren't we already? But if there is a face that down the road wants to take down the Wyatt family, the Wyatt 6, whatever, and they finally can get their hands on Uncle Howdy, that's kind of the ultimate thing you want to do. You don't want to have him get out there right away and get beaten. Because the other big thing with all this, guys, is that we're not in the Vince McMahon era anymore. We're in the Paul Triple H Levesque era, and everything is real and sledgehammers and pedigrees. It's just a lot of fun so far. We just started. But I do have a lot of confidence in what they would do if they bring back Uncle Howdy and do a Wyatt 6 faction, some kind of faction. Call it the Wyatt 6 because that's just what it was hinted at beforehand. And I think that they could have a huge opportunity, blank canvas, to bring in a lot of interesting people and to make it really compelling every week and not do just the tried and true stuff. Triple H's big thing is storytelling, long-term booking, long-term plans. And I think they can achieve that with this faction. So who would you put into a Wyatt 6 faction, into a Wyatt family? I think there's some obvious guesses and some obvious picks here, and some interesting ones you could put in and make it really big and powerful. So Bo Dallas being Uncle Howdy is the obvious one as the true leader of this whole thing. The other interesting note is Eric Rowan. Eric Rowan, who was with WWE, and he was part of the original Wyatt family. There's been reports going on that Eric Rowan was in Pittsburgh getting medically tested and cleared so that he could go back to action and go to WWE. So it's all kind of pointing towards Eric Rowan going back to WWE. Him in this role, in a role with WWE in a Wyatt family under Uncle Howdy would be really interesting, really cool. It's a familiar face. It would make sense. Uncle Howdy is kind of recruiting everybody to come together into this new Wyatt family. So Eric Rowan, I think, would be one of the definite picks you bring in there. He's also gigantic, really intimidating, and with that, I almost feel like you could bring in a tag team partner to go with him, because in my head, the Wyatt family, Wyatt 6, could be very interesting where you can bring a lot of different teams and dynamics. So the other name would be Braun Strowman, who is also part of the Wyatt family in its later iteration. Braun's been out with injury, but when he does make his return to WWE, and even if he's not totally 100%, you can still just bring him back on TV. Redo his character, bring him back in this Wyatt family. It all makes sense. His story is there. You can say things like Uncle Howdy saved him and he's bringing him in. Braun and all the characters don't have to be like brainwashed or anything like that. That gets too silly. But Braun, if he came back as his current character or what he's been doing, where he's just Braun Strowman and he just wrecks guys and does the runaround thing and hits people, it's a little one-dimensional. Like, I enjoyed Braun Strowman when he was fighting Roman Reigns and he was lifting trucks and things. That was entertaining. But beyond that, it doesn't have a lot of dimension. Because by all accounts, in kayfabe, Braun Strowman should be world champion because he's just gigantic. But you could do a lot of fun with him and unlock a lot of cool character if you have him in this family, in this faction. He could also tag team with Eric Rowan. They could become tag champions. We just split the tag team titles. So on Raw or SmackDown, it's a great opportunity to get a huge team in there on one of the brands and get those tag titles down the road. The other name that is fairly obvious, Alexa Bliss. Now Miss Bliss was off, she had baby, and then at some point you would assume she might come back to WWE. And if she does, it would be perfect to bring her in as that dark Alexa Bliss character she was doing with The Fiend. It's a great character, but I think it was completely hindered by the writing of the past with Vince McMahon and Kevin Dunn's direction and all of that. I would love to see what they could do with a modern version, a modern twist of the Alexa Bliss character, the dark Alexa Bliss, Firefly Funhouse Bliss, that type of thing, but really unlock it a lot more. And again, before Bliss went away, they were teasing some kind of relationship between Howdy and Bliss. Something was there and they were going to recruit her, and she was going through all these problems, and then it never happened. So I think Bliss is a perfect example of someone you can bring in. It would make the most sense from within WWE storytelling, not only just running amok and creating chaos on TV, but Bliss coming back. She's a former champion. She's a huge name. Crowd would be excited to see her do something different and unique, but also she could go off and fight for titles within this group. So you could have Bliss go after Bayley, for example, if it's on SmackDown, and she go after the Women's Championship, a challenger to Rhea. But now she's all evil and stuff, so it'd be kind of cool. And she would have a lot of backup, because with backup, I started thinking of other names that would fit within this Wyatt family, all under Uncle Howdy and his whole leadership. Nikki Cross is the other name. Cross is an interesting character because for like, what, a year and a half, since Triple H kind of took over, Nikki Cross is never really on TV. And then periodically, they do utilize her in the backstage stuff, where they just have her showing up in the background, background, where she's just standing there. She's talking to somebody, she's peeking, she's creeping on somebody. She was creeping on Candice LeRae for a while, and then they never did anything. So Nikki Cross has always been that character since they switched her over from Nikki ASH, made her regular Nikki Cross, where she's kind of crazy and unhinged. And you could do something like that and bring her in there, which I think would work well, because there were talks, I feel like a year ago or more, where they were going to bring back Sanity, which I love Sanity in NXT, and it was completely floundered and destroyed by Vince McMahon on the main roster. Nikki Cross as that unhinged character would work, I think, extremely well with Uncle Howdy, who's the creepy guy running everything. Get Nikki Cross on TV and get her backing up Alexa Bliss, who they were tag team partners together before. It all kind of makes sense, doesn't it? The other names you could add into all of this, and I'm picking like 6 or 7 names. It's not going to necessarily be Wyatt 6. You could substitute people out if you want. And you guys probably got your picks. Comment below, who would you put together? The other picks I have, Alba Fire, Isla Dawn. Periodically, they have been on WWE TV, been a tag team, done a little singles match here and there. They've had the vignettes, the witchcraft girls and all that stuff. Really cool gimmick, great in NXT, done nothing with on main roster. And I don't necessarily think it's a case of, oh, they're buried and they're not going to use them. I think with Triple H running things, I think it's much more of a situation of, we're waiting to get creative behind you. Like, we're waiting for something to spark so we can utilize you. It's not that they don't want to put them out there, but I feel like Triple H, with the way he books, it's more of a case of, I'm not just going to throw you out on TV for like zero reason, unless we're trying to get somebody else over and we need to use you. But if they want to wait until there is a story, and if they have something that they're baking, they don't want to just put them out there for nothing. So I feel like Alba Fire, Isla Dawn fit perfectly with this. Uncle Howdy as the manager. They could go after the tag team titles on the women's side. It would give them a renewed focus and give them an actual direction that they haven't had on main roster yet. So Vince McMahon did nothing with them. They had the tag titles, the NXT titles, then they merged them. Maybe that was Triple H, I can't remember. But they merged them with Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler. Then they disappeared, and then they only held one set of titles. Then the NXT tag team titles were gone. WWE sometimes is a little funny. The other name they could bring in, and it'd be perfect with the draft coming up, Joe Gacy. Joe Gacy has been in NXT forever, and I feel like it's kind of now or never. Joe Gacy has that feel of a Wyatt member. He's loose cannon, he's unhinged, he's weird, he's strange. They've gone through several kind of iterations and characters with Joe Gacy to where they are today. And I think that you want to get somebody like Joe Gacy, get him up on the main roster, draft him, put him up there available in the draft, and see what happens. And you could start this whole Uncle Howdy Wyatt family after the draft. You hold off for a few weeks, you give a few more vignettes and all these teasers that we have seen so far. You keep building on it, building on it. Don't drag it out for 3 months. You gotta act on these things and have it come together in a really cool way. Take it in a new direction. Joe Gacy can be a really great single star on his own and going after singles titles. Like I mentioned, Eric Rowan, Braun Strowman, tag titles. Alba Fire, Isla Dawn, tag titles. Alexa Bliss, women's title. Nikki Cross, go after the other women's title. Maybe a mid-card title. And then you're gonna have somebody like Joe Gacy going after world title down the road or mid-card title. It can make the faction feel strong, important, but the biggest thing is going to be, can they give it structure, guidance, a clear storyline that they're going with? Because while I love Bray Wyatt in WWE, and I love the creativity he had, I feel it was lost on the likes of Vince McMahon and Kevin Dunn and the former team, not knowing what are they gonna do, where to go with this, and they started spinning their wheels creatively, that they didn't know where to go with the character. But if you kind of reel this all in, give it a clear direction, bring in this whole new faction, this group, the amount of creativity they can have is kind of endless. And with a new WWE, a new production style, they don't have to be just locked into just the weekly TV. It is something they can explore beyond just like being on SmackDown once a week. And also have it so that they're not overused, overexposed. Don't put them out there every single week. Don't have them lose right away. And make Uncle Howdy, in my eyes, the larger than life figurehead of it all, and that he is truly the puppet master. He's pulling the strings, and he is the one that all the WWE should fear, and that they should fear this group. But it could unlock a lot of creativity, and the other biggest thing is that it could be a great tribute to Bray Wyatt. But let me know your comments and your thoughts below. What do you think about Uncle Howdy coming back to WWE, and how would you introduce a Wyatt 6 or a new Wyatt family? Thanks so much for watching, guys, and if you enjoy videos like this, click this one right here, because we're talking all different types of topics when it comes to WWE. Have a great day. See ya.